This new 2026 hurricane forecast is going to end some adjusting careers. And the question we're answering today is how you make sure it's not yours. I'm Matt, and I've got 20 years in the field as an independent property adjuster. And for almost a decade since, I've trained new adjusters through Adjuster TV, adjusters that top firms hire by waiving their experience requirements. And in this video, you'll get what this downgraded forecast actually says, why last year's historic season still left American adjusters at home, and exactly where the work is shifting in 2026 so that you're positioned to be one of the first working. So let's start with what the forecast actually says. Back in April, Colorado State University's Department of Atmospheric Science was calling for 13 named storms and 6 hurricanes. As of June 10th, the report has it down to 11 and 5. Their measure of total seasonal energy, called ACE, got cut from 90 down to 70. The long-term average is 123. So we're looking at a season running at maybe 55 to 60% of normal. The reason is El Nino, of course. NOAA is putting the odds of El Nino at 98% for the peak of hurricane season, and they're giving about a 40% chance that it's going to be a strong El Nino. If you're newer to this, here's what El Nino does. Cranks up the high altitude winds blowing across the Atlantic, which creates wind shear, and wind shear tears developing storms apart before they ever get organized. So let's talk about the landfall odds, because that's the number that actually pays your bills. There's a 24% chance of a major hurricane landfall anywhere on the continental U.S. coastline this year. The average is 43%, so about 50% of average right now. The El Nino itself is basically locked in, but how strong that El Nino gets is not. And keep that in your back pocket, because we're going to come back to it here in just a minute. Now, if you're thinking forecasts are wrong all the time, you're absolutely right. So let's talk about last year. CSU just published their verification report on the 2025 season. Now, on paper, last year was historic. There was 13 named storms, 4 major hurricanes, 133 ACE, which makes it an above normal season by NOAA's own definition. And 3 of those hurricanes reached category 5, Aaron, Humberto, and Melissa. Only one season in recorded history has ever produced more category 5s, and that was 2005. Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica with a landfall pressure that tied the 1935 Labor Day hurricane for the strongest landfall ever recorded in the Atlantic. It caused $6 to $7 billion in damage. It's absolute devastation for Jamaica, Cuba, and Hispaniola. 2025 was the first year with 0 U.S. hurricane landfall since 2015. CSU was right, however. 2025 was a very active season, but adjusters' phones in this country stayed quiet because the hurricanes didn't come anywhere near us. Now, CSU is telling us that 2026 won't really be active really at all. And listen, you cannot build a career on a lottery ticket, especially when the lottery odds just got cut in half. Quiet seasons don't just mean a lean year for adjusters, though. Quiet seasons are when this industry really starts to shed people. Adjusters let licenses lapse, they stop renewing certifications, they drift into other work, and they never come back. Firms trim their rosters, and along with training companies and other third-party companies that serve this industry, a lot of them close their doors, and I've watched it happen. I want you to think about what that actually means down the road, because every quiet year doesn't just shrink this year's roster. It shrinks the talent pipeline for the big year that is absolutely coming. And the big year is always coming, okay? When it hits, firms are going to need thousands of trained adjusters all at once, and a chunk of that workforce is going to be gone. The experience walked away, and nobody developed the replacements. So what fills the gaps? Adjusters rush through the door with a fraction of the training that they need, or we have claims handled by automated systems with nobody experienced enough left to check on that work. And who pays for that? Well, not the firms, not the carriers, at least not at first. The homeowner does. The family standing in a pile of sticks that used to be their house, waiting on an accurate, fair settlement for someone who's never been properly trained to write one. That's the quiet cost of a quiet season. The policyholder is the one who inherits an undertrained industry. Here's a piece of roster math that you need to understand. When storms are scarce, firms don't deploy less of everybody. They just deploy their best talent first. So if you're sitting at number 400 or 600 on a roster in a 24% year, you're functionally not on the roster at all, which means that the forecast holds and the storm season fizzled out. It simply reveals which careers were already fragile, the ones built entirely on waiting for the big one. So now let's talk about the other side of this, because there is absolutely an other side, and it's bigger than you might think. First, it takes only one storm, right? CSU says it in every single forecast that they publish. They mean it. Prepare every season, regardless of predicted activity. 1992 was a quiet El Niño suppressed season just like this one of the slowest starts anyone had seen in decades. That season produced Hurricane Andrew, which until Hurricane Katrina came along in 2005, was responsible for launching the careers of thousands of independent property adjusters. Quiet seasons don't produce zero storms. They produce fewer storms, and sometimes they produce meaner storms. Melissa proved that less than 8 months ago. 24% is not a 0%. It's 1 in 4, and storms don't read forecasts. So kind of the big takeaway for this video is that El Niño doesn't delete the weather. It actually can move it, right? So a strong El Niño typically energizes the southern jet stream in the winter. This means ice storms, severe winter events, flooding. Remember the huge ice storm in Oklahoma, etc., back in January, February? All the snow. It may have been a terrible year for skiing out west, but not back east, right? And hail doesn't care about El Niño either. Denver has been hit twice in the last 2 weeks with hail. Daily claims don't care about El Niño. The adjusters who go hungry in El Niño years are the ones who think of themselves as hurricane adjusters. And what's more, while the Atlantic is kind of maybe standing down, the West is loading up to burn. Wildfires this year are already running at roughly 140% of average. It's June right now. Earlier this spring, acreage burned was tracking at more than double the 10-year norm. The National Interagency Fire Center has flagged every single Western state for above normal fire potential at some point this season. And it's kind of a 1-2 punch, right? Most of the West is drought primed with low snowpack, early heat, record dry spells, and the pockets that did get a wet spring so far are growing a heavy crop of grass and underbrush that will be curing into fuel when the spring rains dry up in July. I'm watching it happen on my own property in Montana right now. The tall green grass on my property in June is the tinder standing in that same field in August. And the same El Niño that's suppressing the Atlantic also tends to weaken the summer monsoon out west as well, which again can stretch the burn window deeper into the fall. So the deployment opportunities this year might smell like smoke instead of looking like a spiral on the radar and smelling like dead fish. Okay, what does this mean for you? Every quiet season thins the rosters at firms, and because standing cat teams on the carrier side drain money off the ledger, they're the first to get cut when major insurance companies look to improve their bottom line, which means less competition standing in front of you at the moment things turn active again. And they are always going to turn more active. This El Niño is not going to last forever. CSU's own model predictions show this El Niño peaking and then decaying as we head into 2027. So here's what you actually do. 3 things. 1, diversify the types of claims that you know how to handle now. Learn more than just the homeowners policy claim types. Learn commercial and farm ranch claims, learn condo claims, learn liability, go beyond wind claims to winter claims, fire claims, vandalism claims, okay? 2, treat 2026 as a skills year. The certifications, the software depth, the estimate quality that's going to move you up the deployment list. Construction and water mitigation are truly learnable skills. 3, stay deployment ready anyway. Keep your licenses current and extensive. Your storm kit needs to be packed and waiting on a shelf in the garage. Your firms need to be updated with your current info, including licenses, certifications, all that stuff. Because if that 1 in 4 hits, the prepared adjusters are going to go to work and everybody else is going to watch it on the Weather Channel. And if you want to complete zero to hero path for becoming an independent property adjuster in 2026, check out this video right here. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm. Oh, and one more thing. CSU drops their next forecast update on July 8th. Fire Outlook updates on July 1st. I'm going to cover both. So if you're not subscribed, now's a good time.